Hi, and welcome back to FyneConf 2021. We're in the home stretch now, but before I move on to the road ahead, I just wanted to thank very much the fantastic speakers and presentations that we've had today. I hope that you've found something to learn and will take away into a future project. But before we wrap up, let's just have a look at what's coming around the corner. First of all, I would like to start with the current projects. This is items that we currently have in work. You've seen earlier today the WebDriver and our experiments with cloud integrations. Hopefully they will be coming along nicely. Also in progress, we have rich text editing. You saw today the new rich text support, but full editing is going to take a little while longer. We also have some work underway for supporting drag and drop. That's not just inside applications, that's already working, but to integrate with the operating system, to drag files in and out of your Fyne windows, and on macOS to be able to launch your application when somebody drops a file onto your icon. Also, we continue to work on FyneDesk. For anybody who's not familiar with the project, it's a new desktop environment for Linux. It's written using Fyne in pure Go and is bringing new life to the desktop with some code that hopefully everybody who's familiar with Fyne will be able to get involved in if they would like. And lastly, the Fyne Labs team have been working on a new operating system based on the FyneDesk project and other applications that we've been working on. But let's just talk a little bit more about that. It's a brand new project and I suspect that you'll not have heard about it yet. We're building on top of the Debian GNU Linux system, and we're designing something that's going to be really light and fast, like a lot of Fyne applications are. Most Linux operating systems have started to include a lot of dependencies and things that you might not need, and we're trying to take it back to its roots, but giving a great experience all the way through to the desktop. Like I said, it includes the FyneDesk desktop environment, which we have presented at previous FyneConf events, and the newly created Fyn login manager, which is what you'll see when you boot the FyshOS operating system. Optionally, if you choose to have a development-focused installation, we're going to deliver the Define IDE, which is another piece of work in progress. These are going to be accompanied by other development tools, so that FyshOS Developer Edition should be the best place to work on your Fyne applications, and it will have all of the tools to distribute to absolutely every platform from one operating system. If you would like to learn more about that, please head to fyshos.com and keep an eye on the website as we add new information there going forward. So that's what we have going on, but what about future releases? Well, the next release that we're working on is currently codenamed Bulmore. We don't yet have a release version set for it, but it'll probably be 2.2. We started to use code names instead of version numbers so that we can pick the appropriate version number based on what content ends up being included in the release. So Bulmore, we're hoping, is going to include the WebDriver that you saw Cedric presenting earlier. It hopefully will also include the rich text editing. So that will mean that you can write a full rich text editor rather than a text editor with a rich preview, as was demonstrated earlier today. The drag and drop support that I mentioned should be included as well. There are a couple of operating system specific concerns to iron out, but that should be with you when this release comes out. We're looking to extend our input widgets to include date and time as well, so that you can pick something from a calendar or from a clock type input widget. That should round out the different types of form components that we've currently delivered. And we're also going to work to complete Wayland support on Linux. If you don't know about Wayland, that's fine, but if you're working with Linux software, you may be familiar with X11 versus Wayland, and we currently support only X11 fully. There's a Wayland preview in there that we haven't really mentioned too much, but we're going to finish that off and add it to the officially supported list. And lastly, to go along with the enhanced theme capabilities we've been working on, there's hope that we'll be able to make this even easier by loading that data from a file or from a string, and that might be using JSON or TOML resources, TOML being the markup that you saw earlier for the metadata file. So if you have thoughts on any of those items, do reach out and help us to shape those features into Bulmore release. That should be with you early next year. We're hoping that that won't be too much longer because most of the large pieces are already underway. But further afield, we don't know what code name is going to be tagged for this release yet, but version 3.0 offers us another opportunity to make some changes to the API larger than the current backwards compatibility guarantee constricts us to. It's also a chance to rethink how certain items work, and that broadens out what we can do. The biggest thing that's been asked for us a lot is for multimedia support. There's challenges involved there, so we've not been able to deliver it just yet, but we're hoping that this big jump forward, whenever it occurs, will be able to include audio and video support. The big item would be internationalization. We also have a lot of requests for this from people, especially in China and Japan, and with a little bit of help, I'm sure that we can make that work as well. There's a real challenge around how can we keep these applications slim, but still support different languages right out of the box. We also would like to support accessibility properly all the way through every widget. That's a large amount of work, but if people have experience in that area, we would definitely like some help making sure that we get that right as well. Navigation containers and standard app skeletons. These are two items that are going to be really helpful to assist people building more complicated applications quickly. We love that our API is simple and that you can get running really quickly, but sometimes when you're looking to pull lots of different features together and have a full application running in the first few hours, it can seem a little daunting. And so there are going to be standard pieces of functionality that we can pull together into templates or other APIs that will make that a lot easier, especially for conforming to certain application types, like an editor that can open multiple files and wants to look as expected on desktop and mobile platforms. We would also like to improve the mobile support to include Linux-based devices. Now this is not Android, they've been there for quite some time, but things like PinePhone and other operating systems that work on top of Linux but have certain special features and functionality that make it work really well in a mobile environment. There's a lot of devices out there for us to test with. If you have one, do get in touch. And lastly, it would be really great at that time to deliver some enhanced visual debugging tools. This is something that can currently be a little bit of a challenge. The Go debugger and standard tools are fantastic for learning how the code works, but sometimes it appears on screen and something's not quite right, but you're not entirely sure what that is. So we're going to be adding functionality that enables you to look at the screen and understand more about what's happening. Things like where are widgets, where are their boundaries, and also how many times is something refreshing. You might call this hotspot tracking for the graphics pipeline, for example. So all of these things we're hoping to have with you in the 3.0 release whenever that might appear. Items could potentially come in earlier releases, which would be fantastic. And if you would like to get involved, well, you can. And here's how. Firstly, the key links for learning more about using Fyne. If this has been your first FyneConf or the first time that you've seen the toolkit, this is the place for you. The developer.fyne.io website is going to get you up and running really quickly. All of our documentation, tutorials and run-throughs are there. If you prefer video learning, then we have a YouTube channel, and that's going to be refreshed over the next few weeks as well, updated for all of the new APIs that have been coming out this year. If you would like to contribute to the project, and we would really love to have you involved, please do. We're looking for people to help with the coding, to test, to document, and also to help us improve the design. Any type of contributions are all managed through our GitHub project. You can see the link there. And there's documentation in the wiki about different processes that we follow and how you can best get started. Of course, you can sponsor us as well. A big shout out to all of our sponsors. They're listed on that website there. Thank you so much, everybody. There's no way that we could deliver this project and indeed this conference without your help, support and encouragement. If you'd like to be involved, please do consider helping out with sponsorship. There's a few goodies to be earned at different levels of sponsorship, and that warm feeling knowing that you're part of helping move this project forward. And lastly, if you are considering using Fyne in your business and you would like some more committed support than the community, then you could consider talking to Fyne Labs or other companies around about the Fyne Toolkit. So far we've heard that the support available in the community is sufficient for a lot of businesses, but if you're looking to roll this out into production, you might want to speak to Fyne Labs instead, who can help you take it to the next level. Before I let you go, of course, there is the book raffle. I'd like to thank Pact very much for their contribution of 10 copies of the Fyne ebook. As mentioned in an earlier presentation, this was a new release at the beginning of the year, and hopefully it is assisting many people get up and running or learn more about the Fyne Toolkit. Now, we didn't actually ask for permission to share names of those who subscribed to the competition, so I'm not going to read them out right now. We'll be picking them at random later today, and 10 lucky email addresses will be informed that they have received a copy of the book. There'll be instructions in an email letting you know how to claim that. So congratulations to the winners, to anybody who was really hopeful but didn't quite get a copy, then you can always head to the Pact website and have a look for it there. Thank you for everybody who signed up for tickets to be here today for the ebook competition. Thank you to anybody who selected the sponsorship ticket as well. It helped deliver the conference today. And that just leaves me the opportunity to say thank you very much, everybody, for being part of FyneConf this year. Thank you to our attendees, to our numerous sponsors who so generously have helped out with the project. Thank you to our speakers and to those who helped out behind the scenes. And of course, thank you so much to every one of our contributors, both the core team who worked so tirelessly and everybody who's been part of making this project what it is so far. It clearly wouldn't be here without you, and I hope that everybody who's attended appreciates your hard work. And so thank you once again for being here. Whether you've been watching live or in a recording down the road, we hope that you've found today to be enjoyable and educational, and perhaps will consider us joining us next year at FyneConf 2022. Goodbye.